Hey guys, this is the last part of our video. Hey, this came under 5 videos. So we were talking about sloths, which is should we have is it better to have a single large preserve or many small preserves? Again, each one of them has their own benefits, which I kind of went over in the last video. According to your textbook, they keep talking about the fact that larger reserves are better. Now, larger reserves are better for the ecosystem itself, but larger reserves are also not a reality. So, again, like I said, any kind of preservation requires you to balance human needs with the needs of the ecosystem. It is not a viable project if the needs of the ecosystem is put above human needs, because human beings have to pay for it. If there is no buy-in from the human beings, you are not going to be able to do anything. You're just going to be a weird tree hugger. And when we talk about landscape ecology, there's a science for it, and these are the basic things that they study. It is a great way of study in case you want to get into parks and national parks and all of that wonderful stuff. How small can a habitat be? Habitats can be very, very, very small. There are certain snails that are endemic to small patches of land, as small as a few square kilometers. There's also the Delta smelt, which is endemic to a small reservoir in Central California. So depending on the size of the animal, the reserve can be the location where it's found, where it's endemic to, can be really small, and can also be depending on the type of species. For example, wolves are endemic to the United States. Their habitat spans across the United States. Pandas are very niche kind of animals. They're endemic to certain regions. Even out of that, the red panda its habitat is much smaller. So it goes back to understanding if the species that you're trying to protect, is it a generalist species or a niche species. Generalist species are actually slightly more easier to deal with, slightly more easy to deal with, just because they have such a large habitat that you can actually play around with it. However, if you have a niche species that has a very small habitat, then more money required and more people complain about it. Think Delta smelt. What you can do to be a responsible tourist. Be responsible. Understand that you are a visitor. It is not your backyard. Pick up after yourself. Don't try to kill the animals that you see. Don't try to take anything home. Don't, be a conscientious kind of a person. For example, in the previous chapter when we talked about mussels and stuff like that, if you put your boat in the water for on a particular lake, clean it up. Spend some money and clean up your boat before you put it into another lake, so you're not cross-contaminating the place. Just make sure that you don't disturb the animals, the plants. They are not there for your entertainment. As long as you remember that you are a passive contributor to their environment, you'll be fine. So this is the last part of this video, and we're going to be talking about a very important impact of not having proper landscape preservation and preserving ecosystems is desertification. The definition of desertification should recognize that land degradation process that involves a continuum of change from a slight to a very severe degradation, blah, 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 blah. You can read it for yourself. Basically what it is that it is conversion of a productive land into a desert land. There are certain types of ecosystems that are more susceptible to this. Oh, how many times do I have that? For example, very arid lands. So Arid lands are very susceptible to this. Grasslands are more susceptible to this. The Middle East basically has seen desertification. Grasslands and arid lands, just write that down. Arid lands are also called dry lands, places where there's less rainfall. Places like California, Nevada, Arizona, Texas, all of these places are a part of arid lands or dry lands. They are not deserts. They do get rainfall, but it's not sufficient. The other part that's also very susceptible to desertification are places that are in the rain shadow. So places that are very susceptible to desertification: grasslands, dry lands / arid lands, and parts that are in the rain shadow. California has the wonderful benefit of being both a dry land and being in the rain shadow. So a couple of things that cause that are causes of desertification. If I were you, I would pause this video at this stage and kind of write these things down. Desertification, one of the biggest factors of desertification is obviously change in climate. Places like Yemen, Syria, most of the Middle East that's burning right now is a direct effect of global warming and climate change that has resulted in less rainfall. And when you have less rainfall, you are getting back into deforestation, overcropping when you do have rainfall, and then you get into overgrazing. So even though they may not have a large population, but they still need food. So you're going to see places that have high population concentrations. These are happening in countries like Bangladesh. Bangladesh has a high population, a lot of poverty, and a lot of like extreme poverty. So they continuously are actually doing deforestation, which so that they can feed their people, overcropping, and once the soil gets to the point where it cannot be replenished, that farm is essentially converted into grazing lands. The other thing is this contributed a great deal to the Dust Bowl in the United States. So this was the Dust Bowl. I'm just going to put DB as a Dust Bowl. This is one of the problems in the Middle East. We're talking about Syria, Yemen, Jordan, and those kind of places. I'm going to put ME, so that should help. And these are the problems with mostly Southeast Asia, Southeast Asia. Okay. The drought monitoring system in the this was in 2012, so I mean 2002, so you can see that where the drought is actually spreading in the United States. Unfortunate, but it is happening. Oh, go back. Okay, couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about in terms of desertification is remember that this is an active process. Again, these things are happening they used to happen over an ecological time scale. However, since the climate has been changing really, really fast, these have now kind of speeded. Again, going back to the previous chapters that we talked about, anytime you have hunger, you have poverty, it ends up causing civil unrest. Civil unrest meaning more war, more people dying. So by keeping biodiversity, whether it's species or it is landscapes, are all interconnected. At the end of the day, it is connected to human survivability. Bye-bye.